be on our weekly trips to the local sports centre, where we'd walk past the tower, or boasting about who lived in the same estate as who, children would say with pride, "That's where I live, miss. I'm from Grenfell." I've been in contact with friends and colleagues in the wake of the tragic events which unfolded in the early hours of last Wednesday. I am not and cannot speak on behalf of the victims or survivors, whose pain we can only hope to never experience or understand, nor of the community who witnessed firsthand the horror of the fire, where loved ones were trapped, watching and hearing helplessly without being able to do anything to stop it. But I can share this with you. There are very few words that I can relay to express the immense grief that the people are enduring. Broken, in trauma, devastated, beyond heartbroken, are but some of the feelings voiced. We love and value everyone. We live as one, and therefore the pain is felt by all, another friend shared. But mainly the response has been, there are just no words.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you all. I am deeply saddened by the recent unfortunate events which took place in Grenfell Tower. To my surprise, a tower of this size did not contain any fire alarms nor any sprinkler systems. Although £10 million was just spent on this building, how can it be possible in a rich city such as London in this day and age for this to happen? This happened to these people because they were poor. We confidently know that the cost of innocent individuals' lives being taken away could have easily been avoided. This is supposed to be the richest borough in London, yet only £5 million is being shared between the individuals who survived. This whole tragedy clearly illustrates the division in community between the wealthy and the poor. There is a clear social injustice. Innocent humans died because of greed, resulting in a complete lack of care about safety of individuals. This is a matter for every single one of us to speak of. It is immoral what happened, and it's unjust. We stand here today to demand answers. No justice, no peace. Thank you.
No peace! No peace! No peace! No peace!
I'm going to read a poem. It's called Grenfell Stands but Grenfell Fell. I woke up to the sad news and you weren't there. While I slept in my bed, you were all scared. While I dreamt of a new day, the flames were aflare. As I peacefully slept, you lived a nightmare. You were locked in, there were flames everywhere. Told to stay in your apartments while you inhaled smoke in the air. And some of you tried to escape the flames you couldn't bear, to be standing on your neighbours as you ran down the stairs. I know you felt lost, I know you were in despair. I know you were desperate as you gasped out the window for some air. The heat was getting hotter, no longer could you bear. Someone said 42 bodies found in one room, nothing can ever compare. As you screamed for help, people from below, shocked, looked up, stared, as they saw the orange burning rapidly, witnessing the nightmare. They said a refugee came here from a war because he couldn't bear, died where he thought he'd be safe after escaping warfare. It's obvious the tower wasn't safe. 10 million spent, yet it still needed repairs. It was an unsafe place and you told them, yet no one cared. Grenfell was murder. It was a living, breathing nightmare. Children screaming for help, while the media sat in helicopters, filming them scared as they looked through a lens and showed the world what was happening there. So many gone, so much despair. I knew not a single soul, yet the heartbreak I can't bear. Grenfell Tower stands, but Grenfell fell on that day. Grenfell, we are with you to heaven and earth.
What I'm saying is that I'm emotional along with the entire country right now. So I can only really speak from my heart on what I sort of understand. But it's all very, very confusing right now. I mean, like, from what's just happened with the government and the elections to the onslaught of attacks is very confusing. It's hard to put together, it's hard to get your mind right. And we have to speak, but it's hard to know that we know what we're talking about when we're being fed strange information. And on top of life in general, it's a lot of stress. But since the fire, I've heard a lot of questions. And the question I hear the most is how? Is how did it happen? And how did you have people in the area, because we use social media. So before I really saw on the news, we had people in the area already telling us the deaths were in like huge numbers. Then had the news come out and say it was like 12. And you're thinking, which one is correct? The people that are there, live there, and have seen the building go up in flames and managed to get out, or the news that seems to have an agenda most of the time. It's hard to, it makes you lack trust, and it makes you kind of almost go a bit mad in your head, man. And according to witnesses, they were saying there was time to escape. A lot of people said there was time to escape, but protocol suggested that they should stay in their home. But I don't think they accounted for the fact that this cladding was put up, and that caused what they say started off as a fridge fire, which apparently was actually put out initially. So I don't know how the other fire went up the building like that. But what should have just been normal protocol ended in hundreds and hundreds of deaths that they're treating as missing people, which is also confusing because it's good that we're donating, but it's hard to know where the donations are going when there's people that remain missing. They said about 76 people, 76 survivors, and then the rest are missing. If they're still in that building, truthfully, they're probably dead because we all saw that building go up in flames. So it's strange that the media were treated this way. And it's also strange, like, it's very, very, very sad what happened recently in Finsbury Park. I was scared myself, I got family around there. But it seems that the news is jumping on that and leaving behind what happened in the Grenfell Tower situation. So they almost like, this is why we have to stay together as a community, because they like us to be debating with each other and looking at what people like Tommy Robinson, and then people shouldn't be focused on the people because we know they're dumb people. We're focusing on all that rubbish here. When our people are still struggling down there, and all I'm hearing from the floor, I don't pay attention to news no more. On the speech, because I don't know what I was talking about. But like, I follow like people's social media, and I'm seeing the people are saying that the community is doing stuff, but they don't see no government officials down there. So all this election stuff, like I actually got involved this year because I thought, right, you know, Corbyn and let's get involved in this. It's good and everything, but it seems all this effort we put into knowing what's going on and supporting all these MPs and stuff, as soon as someone afterwards, they're nowhere to be seen. Do you know, I think somebody said if this happened a couple of weeks ago, every council member would have been there. Every MP would have been there talking. Nothing. It's the community, because we're there for each other 24/7. They're only there for us when they need us to support them, and then they're gone. So the main thing we have to remember is to stick together. Like, your neighbor you might not agree with everything your neighbor says, but it's important that you stand with your neighbor when they need you. And that's all I have to say.
Good evening to you all. My name is Shazana Hafiz, and first and foremost I just want to say a big well done to the younger generation, Ross and crew that have put this together. It's amazing to see the younger generation stand. Bodies of children, displaced families and homes, families still waiting for confirmation on missing victims. It was a majority Muslim, tower block, coloured people. It was a community of people. It was families. It was humans. It was. Theresa May should be ashamed of herself. She should be ashamed. Her response, or lack of, rather, spells out to us very clearly that this woman has no regard for the poor people. She has no regard for the Muslims and their lives. And she has no remorse. And her response has shown this through her inaction. I have had direct contact with volunteers on the ground, and they speak of harrowing accounts. I'm sure many of you will have watched the videos that have come out following this tragedy. She says she was advised not to come out due to security concerns. Well, only if she applied that concern to the lives of those that were burnt down. Media says 10, then 17, then maybe 53, or perhaps 70. Look at the images and the footage from that block. Just look at it. The death toll is in its hundreds.
As the young Muslims make their way home from Taraweeh prayer in this blessed month of Ramadan, they saw that building was on fire and ran in and banged on doors and said, "Get out." Those that got out did, and the rest were advised to stay in. Within an hour, Grenfell Tower had become an inferno. My question is, why? Why the injustice? Why the disregard for these people and their living conditions? These are all questions we demand answers to. Why were these buildings not well facilitated? Let me tell you, we cannot expect the media to give us a voice. The media has repeatedly enabled and fueled hatred, and its coverage of the Grenfell incident and more recently the Finsbury Masjid terrorist attack has demonstrated this. The media enables hatred, racism, Islamophobia, and has downplayed the true extent of the reality on the ground with the Grenfell Tower incident. It disgusts me. It disgusts me the way they report the Grenfell tragedy and then the Finsbury mosque attack. They call it an incident, not terrorism. They call my people pedestrians, not victims. They call the injured worshippers and not Muslims. They call the perpetrator a man, not a terrorist. They call him a man with mental health issues, and a very nice man. This last month has been tough. And when we're surrounded by injustice, we can sometimes become normalized to the way we're treated. We are here today in solidarity. We stand in solidarity, and yes, we will remember the victims of Grenfell Tower and their families, and also the victims of all the other atrocities, Finsbury and Regent's Park. But the main reason why we're here is because we want justice, we want accountability, and we want answers. The disregard for human life is a precedent that the government has set. The disparity between rich and poor, the constant discrimination of Muslims through counter-extremism measures, the blatant two-tier system currently in place, discrimination of refugees and asylum seekers. The finger is always pointed within. I think it's time we pointed that finger back and demanded some answers. Enough is enough. No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
The community spirit has demonstrated that despite the media bias, the response has been one filled with compassion, bringing together unity and people from all walks of life. Let's build this movement to reframe the reality on the ground. Your unity is more compassionate and powerful than the government response. Don't forget that. I leave you with the words of Brother Malik al-Shabbaz. May he rest in peace. Malcolm X. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Stand and keep standing till every voice that has spoken out from the families and friends of the Grenfell victims resonates. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Thank you. Hopefully I'll see you all on Friday.
I was going to mention also that it seems even the news that is showing the community helping each other, it seems to be missing out. They're not mentioning all the groups that are helping. When you look into the groups that they're mentioning that are helping as a community, it seems to be the council-led groups and not the community-led groups. So we can't, if we listen to that, then we still have some sort of feeling where, okay, they're helping. They are helping, but the first people to be there and the first people to take action were the community-led groups that are actually in the area and got straight into action. And talking of that, you don't hear a lot about, there's a charity that's helping out. It's called Eden Care, End of Life. And it's a charity that's been there since the news broke down about the fire. They're supporting families, they're carrying out funerals, because that's another thing people got to try pay. But funerals are expensive and things, things like that. And there's no mention of Muslim charities in this month of Ramadan who have come out to support their own community. So we as the community have to go find out ourselves, because we can't rely on them telling us anything. So
There is an organisation in London called the Zakat Foundation. You can add me on Facebook. I'm Shez Hafiz. I'll post details on there. They are on the ground. They distribute money. They are helping victims. They're even coordinating therapy, trauma therapy and support. So feel free to get in touch, and we'll put you in touch with the right people.
Cool. We're gonna start the 1 minute silence. Alright. From now. And now with the poem I was going to do before. I saw heroes. From smoke and pain they rose, and hope and change was the way they chose. The people assist, they sis and they bros. The people persist in cold, they ain't froze. Sometimes it seems that we're here chasing rainbows, and the fight against our fat cat foes remains closed. But they fear us getting to know what they know, cause they know, say, most heroes wear plain clothes. The power, when united we all stand. The community, taking the fight in their own hands. Dreams of mutiny, cause we all starting to learn. They don't care about us, they're just watching us burn. People power, all power to the people. The powers that be, we see they're all evil. We need people power, so keep your sight strong. Rest in peace to the fallen, we keep the fight on.
No justice, no peace.